We are doing a two-stage paint correction and ceramic coating on this GMC Sierra today. We're doing our initial walk around. We actually did not see this vehicle first before it came in, so we gave kind of a quote over the phone. Now, granted, quotes are always nor here nor there. We really have to see it first before we give that final price. And this is the reason why, because the customer said his vehicle was in fantastic condition. It probably wouldn't need much paint work. So I just gave him the expectations that this would be the price if that's the case, but otherwise the price could vary if we get it inside and the paint is not in that kind of condition. And of course it was completely swirled up, scratched. There were tons of spots that the paint was chipped from. I would say there was probably at least 100 different paint chips around this truck. So overall, it didn't really meet the expectations of what like a new vehicle polish and coating would be. So in terms of the price and the time we had on this, we kind of went over with the customer for expectations and what we were really going to get into for this. So we decided on a price point that he was happy with. And for the amount of work we were going to be doing, we kind of bumped it up to a two-stage paint correction. So you can see we're going to be doing a cut, which is the compounding step, just to remove the majority of that swirling and scratching. And then we're also going to be following up with the polish as well, just to kind of finish it out, make sure there's no marring on the paint, add that clarity to it before we do the ceramic coating. So I'm just going to kind of take you guys a walk around as I kind of buff this vehicle out. You'll see some before and afters and stuff, and you'll see that it was really swirled up. Here there's a lot of marring. That was just from the compounding step, and that's why we always follow up with a polish afterwards. You can't just simply cut the vehicle and leave it, because there will be some marring introduced. So you will see a few different pads being used here. It just depends on the section I was working on and what I was doing. But for the cutting, it was a mix of this yellow wool pad you're seeing here, which is a medium cutting pad. And that one there is good for, obviously, like I said, cutting and compounding, just removing those swirls and scratches with the compound. And then in some areas as well, you'll see me using the blue foam pad. It's just, like I said, really depended on the spot that I was working on and the level of correction it kind of needed. And I was using the Rupes line for this entire correction. So the blue heavy cut compound and the yellow fine polishing compound as well, just to finish it out. And for the machines, of course, very same ones I use in basically all of my videos. I have my Rupes LHR 15 Mark III, which is my 5-inch polisher here you're seeing. And then I have my cordless Flex PXE80 as well, which I use on a lot of the small areas, and as well kind of cutting some of the corners as well, that this 5-inch pad doesn't really hit too well. When you're using a DA polisher like this, the majority of the cutting power comes kind of from the middle. Whereas on the opposite side of the spectrum, if you're using a rotary, you'll see a lot of people angle it pretty heavily, and you'll get a very heavy cut on the outer end of a rotary polisher. So this is kind of the opposite. So when I'm doing a polish like this, or any kind of correction, to get some of those corners a little bit better, I'll drop the pad down to my 3-inch, and that lets me get closer to whatever corner or edge that I'm working on, and lets you get a better cut out of that area. And you'll see here, the side of the box was just hit hard. So we went in with a little bit of wet sanding as well, because this was just, it was a little bit tough. So there's some pretty deep scrapes going in there. Overall, the entire vehicle, very swirled. This is pretty classic for something that would have been ran through the automatic car wash. And unfortunately, this is why you can't really tell the condition of your paint until you get it properly washed, pulled inside, and inspected under a light, because outside this truck did look really good. You couldn't see too much. Of course, if the sun's hitting it and you walk around, you could see some swirling, but definitely not to this extent. And that's why the customer would have no idea. He doesn't work with paint on a daily basis like this, or professionally at all. So he just doesn't have the eye to be able to pull that out. And that's why I set those expectations when I talk to people, that I can give you a rough quote over the phone for the condition that you're describing. But when we see the vehicle, it could be a different story. And this is Geon Tire Protectant here, so I really like this stuff. But honestly, this is my first time using this pad here, and I have to say I didn't prime it first, so it was a little bit dry. So you'll see I had to work this in a little bit more than you usually would. By the time I was on the other half of this tire or on the other 3 tires, it applies a lot easier, a lot smoother. But I really had to work this one in a little bit because the pad was dry. I've never used it before. But this stuff's really good. I like this product. It lasts longer than most tire dressings and stuff like that will. Has some good water beating abilities, keeps it clean a little bit longer. So it's definitely one of my favorites. And PNS inspiration view on the windshield. Didn't really record that because it's not too important. But we also went ahead here and we coated the rims. I don't charge for this, just rim faces I always include no matter what. We're just using Crystal Serum Light and as well EXO, which you'll see after this as well. But you can see this really brings out the gloss, especially in like glossy black rims. If you ceramic coat them, it really makes them pop, which is nice. This is my favorite combo right here. It is the Crystal Serum Light and EXO. Now, as I'm applying here, I typically do half panels or full panels at a time with this product, and I'll probably explain it in a minute as well. I'm just super comfortable with this, so it makes it really easy for me to work in larger areas. I just really know what to look for when it comes to the flashing time. As you can see, I do not mess around. I do whole panels at a time. I'm super comfortable with this product. I've done tons and tons of coatings with it. And as you can see, just while it's flashing off here, I'll see if I can kind of get it. You'll see it's very streaky. This is what ceramic coating looks like when it's being applied. And basically all of that is excess on the paint. So most of it's gonna get wiped off, whatever doesn't bond within the time frame before we wipe it off. And we can kind of tell when it starts bonding. And I'm gonna see if I can find some, but you'll see if I can get close here, you'll see some separation where this coating starts separating, and it's gonna start turning into beads. And once that starts turning into beads, that's a good sign that whatever's on there has started to bond at least. So what we're gonna do is give this maybe another minute, maybe 30 seconds or so, and then I'm gonna level it off and show you guys that as well. It's definitely satisfying wiping this off afterwards. You can see that streakiness just kind of clears right up. And that means that it's just bonded to this paint at this point, whereas you're wiping off all that excess that doesn't need to be on there anymore. And we will essentially coat the entire vehicle with the CSL first. And then typically by the time you're done that, about an hour or so would pass, sometimes even a little bit longer. And then I follow up with the EXO as well, which is kind of that hybrid top coat, just for a little hydrophobicity on top of that. But 3 to 5 years is the perfect range for any ceramic coating, in my opinion. Ceramic coatings are not scratch proof, no matter what anyone tells you. So by the time 3 to 5 years is up, there's a really high probability that even if you take care of your vehicle just from driving it and stuff, your coating is gonna get some micro scratching and stuff in it. And after that time frame, you're gonna wanna buff it out, clean it up again if you still even have your vehicle after 3 to 5 years. I know a lot of people don't. But yeah, you'll want to repolish it out and recoat it so it looks brand new again, because I've seen a lot of those 8 to 10 year coatings, and of course they perform well, but this performs amazing as well. The difference is that some of those coatings you have to wet sand off, and I've seen instances of customers after 1 or 2 years where that coating starts getting really scratched up, and you don't really have an option other to pay a ton of money for someone to wet sand it off completely, decontaminate, wash your vehicle, repolish it, or paint correct it, whatever it needs, and then recoat it again. So it's a really expensive option. That's why I really like the 3 to 5 year coating. Also, when you're applying and wiping off ceramic, you always want 2 rags, and I actually switch these out halfway through the vehicle. So I'll use 4 of these rags just to level off the ceramic, because they do get saturated after a while. And what happens is you'll just kind of spread that excess after a little bit. So I just kind of want a lot of fresh microfibers on hand, and the good ones too, not those department store rags. So we're just gonna level off this EXO here. This is the last step on this panel. And now we have this panel which is completed. It looks really good. So the liquid, not the liquid crystal, the Crystal Serum Light, kind of the hard base coat. It's actually a really good standalone coating. It actually does have good water beating abilities and stuff with it. So it is a good standalone. But the EXO is really hydrophobic. So when you add this on top, you get that hard base layer plus the hydrophobics of EXO, and it's a really nice combo. So that's why I've been using it, and as you can see, it looks awesome. If you do just want to do this yourself, like you're ceramic coating your own vehicle, and you decide that you only want to buy Crystal Serum Light, the water beating abilities is not a big deal because, like I said, it's going to be good by itself, but what you can do is boost it every 3 to 6 months with liquid crystal, which is their ceramic sealant, and you're going to get all of those properties anyways. Of course, EXO just provides some things like extra chemical resistance and whatnot. But aside from that, either way is a really good way to go. So that is it, guys. I am packed up and ready to go. This was a nice 11-hour job here. Like I said, not a full paint correction. If it was, we'd be, honestly, on this truck, we probably would have been pushing closer to maybe 16 hours or so. But 11 hours with the 2-stage correction and coating, and it's all done, and we're out of here. I really love pumping this content out for you guys, so please give this a like. It does really help me out, and just subscribe for daily detailing content. I do post shorts daily. I try to do some nice voiceovers for you guys, so you do have some content to watch in between me working and editing these videos to post. We'll be linking all of the products down below, as well as with discount code for these products from a professional detailing supplier right out of Canada.